When a girl reaches puberty, around 10 to 16 years of age, her menstruation begins. It is a phenomenon that occurs every month and lasts 5 to 6 days. Menstruation follows a 28-day cycle, and as such, this occurrence lasts till she reaches 40 to 45 years of age, after which she reaches her menopause. On these days, every woman should take special care of her health and hygiene. There are many physical and mental problems that a woman faces during menstruation, such as PMS, severe stomach cramps, backache, etc. But then, a woman's busy schedule keeps her running around during her chores within her house and outside, almost forgetting that she's in pain. Little does she realize that on these days, she needs to take special care of what she eats and does. Ayurveda has many prescriptions that help women alleviate her pain on these days, along with certain advice on what to do and not to do on these days.
Namaskar. Welcome to Eternal Health. The topic for today is Ayurveda and menstrual disorders. Menstrual disorders are increasing every year. Now, in the world, when we are focusing on many serious diseases, especially like cancer, AIDS, diabetes, obesity, heart diseases, all these diseases are considered like prime diseases, and most countries are focusing on these diseases. But when I look at from Ayurvedic perspective, I'm actually finding out that more and more females are suffering from menstrual disorders. Ayurveda explains about menstrual disorders in deep details and provides simple solutions as always. According to Ayurveda, one of the main menstrual disorder that a female faces and which we also see in the modern age is called menorrhagia. Menorrhagia is a term which expresses excessive bleeding during the menstruation. Sometimes the menstrual cycle becomes short. That means after 2 weeks there is bleeding, and then again after 2 weeks there is bleeding again. So menorrhagia refers to a number of different types of excessive bleeding. One can be excessive bleeding during the menstrual cycle. One, when the menstrual cycle becomes short, that means during a month there can be 2 times or 3 times bleeding sometimes. The third type of bleeding disorder is when there is bleeding other than menstrual cycle at other times. And there is also a fourth type of bleeding which is generally called as dysfunctional uterine bleeding, DUB in short, which generally occurs due to some anatomical changes. Maybe there is a fibroid in the uterus or there is a tumor in the uterus. So all these types of bleedings are called in Ayurveda as atyartav. That's the Sanskrit word which actually means excessive bleeding. Talking about the causes, Ayurveda explains mainly there are 2 causes for this. One is physical causes, another is psychological causes. In the physical causes, Ayurveda explains that any kind of excessive bleeding is generally connected with aggravation of Pitta dosha. Pitta represents the fire element in the body. There is a fire element in the body. As long as this fire element remains under normal quantity, which is called balance, it will not generate any problems. Once the Pitta goes beyond a limit, it can cause a number of diseases. In this situation, the Pitta relocates in the uterine area, in the genital area, and causes excessive bleeding. This bleeding is also associated with a number of other symptoms like pain in the back, headache, fatigue, anemia, and a number of other disorders. So this is a very common thing when I deal with patients in my clinic, or when I deal with a number of other patients all over the world. I encounter a lot of females suffering from this type of problem. Now, a very simple recipe for painful menstruation and also for absence of menstruation. This recipe works in both the cases. Take 10 grams of dill seeds, 10 grams of fenugreek seeds, 10 grams of carrot seeds and 10 grams of radish seeds. Grind them together and make a fine powder. From this powder, take 1 teaspoonful in the morning and 1 teaspoonful in the evening with the warm water. This will solve your problem of painful menstruation, or even if you are missing a period. This is a very effective remedy. Licorice tea is another wonderful recipe for menopause. Just boil a teaspoonful of licorice in a glass of water, and when it is boiled, the water reduces to half. Just filter it, mix some honey and drink whenever you can if you are passing through menopause. In this way, Ayurveda can solve menstrual disorders by following these simple recipes. In Jiva Ayurvedic Research Institute, we have also come up with a wonderful package of Ayurvedic herbs which we call the Jiva Sattva Menstrual Disorder Healthcare Pack. If you cannot find all these different things, you just can find Jiva Sattva Menstrual Disorder Healthcare Pack. So try to solve these problems which look very simple and also look like there is no solution for them. But you should never neglect any little thing, because this little thing can grow up into a very serious disease one day. Use these Ayurvedic recipes, regain your health and enjoy. Thank you very much. Namaskar.